Hi Cancer, welcome to your May 2017 love reading. It's Rena here. So all month long we have Venus in Aries. Aries is your 10th house of career, and so put that all together. I mean, you could find love where you work. You could find it when you're getting recognized for something associated with your work. So just keep that in mind. It's a very fiery placement for Venus, that's for sure. Okay, so what is the focal point and symbolism of this reading? The Two of Cups. You can't really get much better than the Two of Cups when it comes to a love reading, because it talks about commitment to somebody. So the Ace of Cups could be falling in love, and the Two of Cups is committing to someone. And in some cases, there might be a choice, because sometimes the number 2 represents having to choose between two different options. And it could also mean that you are getting back together with a partner. Now, we did have that retrograde in Venus, and that was happening during March and the first half of April. So the aftermath of that may be what this card is representing for some people, that you have gotten back together with a former partner. Now, this could also be forgiveness, that somebody you held a certain bitterness towards, you have forgiven. Doesn't mean that you have gotten back together with them or that you plan to have anything to do with them overall. Maybe you just have decided that you're going to let go of any feelings of resentment that may have occurred because of something that happened in your prior relationship. And speaking of prior relationships, it could be with a fire sign like an Aries. That's specifically what I'm thinking, or a Leo or Sagittarius. In the past position, we have the Seven of Wands. So this could be talking about feeling like you had your guard up, that you were constantly on the defensive. Maybe somebody made you feel like that. And I use that very cautiously, because I don't believe that people can make you feel a certain way. I think you have to kind of volunteer for that feeling. But still, I mean, regardless, you may have felt this sense of constantly being called to explain yourself in a relationship, and you finally had enough. But that may, even if that has transpired, you don't hold grudges against that person. Maybe you see the good in them. Maybe they have certain insecurities that you recognize, and you're not going to hold it against them, that they are, maybe they're paranoid because they can't believe that anybody would love them. And really, a lot of the toxic behaviors that we chastise in other people are at their root cause due to lack of self-love, obviously. So rather than condemn people for their negative behaviors, it's always a nice policy to be generous enough to see beyond the negative attitude and see the scared person who feels the need to be like that. It could be a case of they simply have been hurt themselves. I'm not talking about that it's an excuse. I'm just saying it's an explanation for why they're the way they are. And some people don't like to hear that because it creates too much ambiguity. You know, it's a lot simpler just to hate somebody. And I get that, but it doesn't necessarily translate into how people are, or, you know, the reality of the situation. It can actually be a case where people have these negative attributes, and it comes from a pattern of abuse. Although I do feel that we are required as human beings to grow and to change and to challenge those beliefs. You can't just rest on the laurels of your abuse. And too many people are, I won't say eager, but they nestle very nicely into the identity of being a victim. And I mean, they may make a good case for it, that's for sure, but it's not going to get them anywhere. The only thing it'll do is it'll keep proving them right at every turn, because life will show up for them that way, and then they get to say, see, I told you so. This is how life is. And I mean, if that makes people feel good about their lives, then God bless them. But I just don't think that it's ultimately a very heartening thing to be proved, was it proven or proved right about something that negative. So that's all I'll say about that. It could be also that you were with a fire sign and now you're with a water sign. So this would be a fellow Cancer. That would be interesting to have two Cancers together. And could be a Scorpio or a Pisces. I do feel that some of you could be a Scorpio, just based on this challenge card of the Death card, but we'll get to that. And what is happening is the Three of Swords. Now, I do feel, and I'm thinking of that Scorpio again, I do feel that what may be happening is that you are allowing somebody back into your life only to have them, you know, mess with you again, screw you over. And I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read this card, because this, usually I go in a different order, but this is perfect. The Death card represents Scorpio, but it also represents a transition in your life. And you know, when we talk about transitions, we're not talking about initiating this transition. We're talking about inevitable transition. So this is why it's called the Death card, because death is something that you cannot control. I'm talking about, you know, when it's happening of natural causes, obviously. So the point being that it symbolizes learning to go with the flow and not trying to control everything. As a cardinal sign, Cancer tends to want their universe in a certain fashion. They try to make it in a certain fashion. And they can do very well in career because there's a certain malleability or controllability factor that fits into that. But you can't really do that in your relationships. You can't control other people, their feelings and their actions. Typically, what Cancer does is they try to control through the emotional side of things. They try to smother their partner. In other words, really just lay it on thick so that their partner stays with them. Or they try to manipulate with guilt, something to keep them there. This can be that maybe you're in a relationship that has seen better days, it's really not happening, and yet you can't handle that fact. Maybe you're the one that wanted the reunion, and the person just did it to you again. Or maybe, I'm sorry, maybe you forgave somebody that really didn't deserve to be forgiven. And I don't mean that you shouldn't forgive. I mean to allow them back into your life. I should make that very clear. The Two of Cups can be forgiveness, but you can forgive somebody and never lay eyes on them again. So that's not what I meant. I meant letting them back into your life, trusting them. Okay, so with the Death card in the challenge position, you may have a hard time moving on, and this is preventing you from really being able to move forward in your life, not let alone heal from a betrayal. Also, the Three of Swords can indicate that you are in a lover's triangle. And I actually was going to touch on that with the Two of Cups. It can be a choice, as I said. And what I meant to imply was that there may be two different people, other people besides you in this situation. Another thing with the Three of Swords, you may have cut something off very quickly with a fire sign or a former partner who was very aggressive towards you, and went back to this partner. So it may not be that that's a bad thing to go back to this partner, but it may be that you had to cut off the other one very quickly, and it may not have been easy for you. You may have felt guilty about doing so. The higher message is the Seven of Cups in reverse, and you know, I've been getting the reverse cards recently after a long time of not getting reverse cards. So it's very interesting that this is happening. The Seven of Cups in reverse, to me, indicates that it's like the beer goggles coming off. Something that, and it's right under that Two of Cups, you may find out, and that Three of Swords may really unearth the truth about a partner, maybe that you have gone back with. And you will see this person in a new light, and you will see them realistically. It could be that you have had a long history with this person. Maybe you keep going back and forth, and you keep trusting them and believing their promises. But I think that you have had enough. I really do, based on the other two cards. What I want to say about this, Cancer, is if you have been through some kind of breakup, that you have recently reunited with someone, I want you to ask yourself, and you feel like that person betrayed you, I want to ask yourself, when you got back together, was there any indication that anything was going to change? Because I get this a lot when I do private readings, where the person will say, I want to know if we're going to get back together. But they give me no indication that the other person has any interest in altering their behavior. Some people are so focused on the fact that they were left by another person that they do not connect the dots of the situation and say, wait a second, do I want this person back? Does this person deserve to be in my life? And I just feel like that's a very important facet of any kind of reunion. Now, the Two of Cups can also, like I said, indicate a commitment to a partner. Now, in this particular situation, it could be that you're committing to somebody, but they have their own unfinished business. Maybe they have a partner that they have not let go of, okay? The death card might not be even speaking about you. It could be speaking about the other person. So it's delaying the ability of the two of you to get together for some reason. Unfortunately, in some cases, you may make a commitment to someone only to find out that you're part of a lover's triangle that you didn't know about. And so the Seven of Cups is like the veil being lifted from your eyes. But I think as a higher message, it's also saying, when do you lie to yourself and don't see the red flags that sometimes are very clear to see in retrospect? The times when somebody told you a story that didn't make sense to you, but you believed it anyway, for instance. So what is coming in is the Fool. This is you on a new journey in your life. So you have the Death card, and then you have the Fool card. I really love this card. I think that you are going through a transition, and some of you who really will be the conscious ones will recognize that and embrace the mystery of your journey and not try to make things too predictable or comfortable by, I have to have a partner now that I'm in this new phase of my life. Because you may have come from a relationship that really was quite negative, where you didn't feel understood by a partner, and for some reason maybe you gravitated towards a former love out of a need for security, which sometimes can be very front and center for cancers. And that might have been a big mistake, because you may have it's like going from the frying pan to the fire, if you will. And maybe you regret having even deciding to do that. Maybe you think to yourself, gosh, I would have been better off just being alone, but I was afraid. The Fool card is the 0, and in numerology, the 0 has an unknown quantity, is an unknown quantity. So what that means is that it's pure potential, and all options are open to you. And it's very expansive, therefore. But in a way, you could say the Fool is the antithesis of a Cancer who tends to be very cautious and wants to make sure that everything is guaranteed ahead of time. And that can be a soul killer, to be honest with you. So really fight against that tendency that you have, because I don't think that is a good one. I think that is a shadow aspect of Cancer, is the need to be secure. That is kind of like survival consciousness, first chakra consciousness, reptilian consciousness. It's a holdover from less enlightened eras, where people were more consumed with the idea of staying alive. And for Cancer, this can kind of also include your money, especially your money and everything, material security, where you are willing to kind of, how would I put it? So I was going to say sell yourself, but that's not what I mean. I can't think of the word, but compromise for that illusion, because it is an illusion of security. And you don't want to do that, because it's funny. Now, this card, I'm not going to, usually I pick another card with this. I'm not going to do so this time. This is the outcome. And I think this is a cautionary tale, that if you do not change that mindset, that dissatisfaction will set into your life. You know, the number 4 represents order, stability, security. Well, I won't say security, but I think that you could probably make the case that it says that. I know it means order, organization. And with the cups, we're looking at the emotional side of life. And you can see that there's an expression on this person's face that would be best described as disinterested or blank-faced. And this is the card of dissatisfaction in one's emotions. And this person is being offered something by the universe of an emotional nature. This could be a relationship. This could be any kind of feeling to feel. But the person, for some reason, is not buying it. And the illusion of needing something secure, I think, can leave you with that security, but it's like this dull tomb where you or this golden cage where you have everything that you want or need to exist in life, except for the emotional side, which, by the way, for the water signs like Cancer, is the way that you go through life, is the way that you feel. So the classic case is, do you want love or do you want money? Now, obviously, we do need money in order to survive. So it's not that money is totally irrelevant, but in your romantic life, if you are simply looking for the best bet when it comes to the sure thing, or whatever you want to call it, that will not give you that kind of juiciness, that life, the spontaneity of life. And that would be really sad, you know? That really would be, because Cancers have a lot of love to give, and I don't want you to be stone-faced in life. Now, the other possibility of an outcome with this card is that you are going to receive an offer of love from a fellow water sign. And you may be disinterested. This could be that Scorpio that I'm telling you about. Maybe if you decide that you're done with this relationship, they may still try to come back again, and you're like, no, ain't going to be the same fool a third time, or whenever it was. But you may have this sense of like, I'm done. Or it can actually, I've actually read an interpretation that the Four of Cups simply means a more stable relationship. So maybe you do get an offer of love from somebody who can provide you stability and not drama. And it could be from a fellow water sign, like a fellow Cancer, a Scorpio, or a Pisces. So any way you slice it, I think that you're going through a lot of change, but that there are opportunities for you to really find yourself and find love, Cancer. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great May. Bye.